Grow up, you entitled snowflakes, get a job, and stop whining because the world doesn't owe you anything. If you're a young Zoomer or millennial, you probably heard this crap from your boomer parents a million times. But guess what? That's not true. The world does owe you something, and for a damn good reason that everyone ignores. But let's pretend for a second that the world doesn't owe you anything. Fine, let's talk about the other side of that. If the world doesn't owe you shit, then you don't owe world shit either. That includes your work and your labor. People always make you feel like crap for not having a job or having a crappy job. But why? You don't owe this society a damn thing. This society screwed up economy long before you were even born. Even if the world was perfect, you still don't owe anyone your work or labor. Never did. If you want to work, go ahead. But you don't owe it to society. That's a huge difference. You might have heard the term NEET, not in employment, education, or training. It's society's way of saying, hey, either work your ass off like a money printing machine for us, or we'll shame you for being a loser. And honestly, it's pretty damn entitled. It's straight up narcissistic. If you want people to work for you, it's on you to give them a good reason to work. Pay them better. Give them better conditions, better benefits. I don't care how you do it, but it's your responsibility. Paying people crap wages and then calling them needs for not wanting to work for you is the whiniest, most spoiled brat behavior ever. And this society is guilty of it. It's insane how everything this society accuses Gen Z of is just a reflection of itself. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're selling a lemonade on the street. If your lemonade tastes like crap, no one's gonna buy it, right? You can't just yell at people and call them lazy for not buying your nasty lemonade. You have to make better lemonade if you want people to buy it. It's same with jobs. If society wants people to work, they need to make jobs worth doing. Better pay, better conditions, better everything. But instead they're out selling crap lemonade and calling us lazy for not drinking it. And let's talk about boomers for a second. These are the same people who had it easy growing up. They could buy a house, support a family, and retire comfortably on a single income. They didn't have to deal with student loans that cost as much as house. They didn't have to compete in a job market where wages haven't kept up with inflation for decades. They didn't have to live in a world where everything, housing, healthcare, education is ridiculously expensive. Boomers had it made. They could walk into a job straight out of high school, work for a few years, and still afford a decent life. Now they're sitting there, retired with their pensions, telling us to work harder while they pulled the ladder up behind them. They destroyed the economy, polluted the planet, and left us in the mess. And now they have nerve to call us lazy? They're in no position to demand anything from us. And the worst part, they have nerve to call you entitled while they're the real entitled snowflakes. They think they are entitled to 65 years of labor from you from the moment you were born. While they're too lazy to even fix the economy they ruined. I can't think of anything more spoiled, entitled, and narcissistic than that. It's not your fault you're a burden to your parents. That's a burden they sign up for. You didn't ask to be born, you didn't consent to this. Telling you're a burden is just narcissistic gaslighting. They are trying to blame you for their dumb decision to have kids they couldn't afford. And they put you in a bad position for no good reason. You don't owe your parents anything. You're not obligated to love or tolerate them if they're not good people. And this applies not just to your parents, but society as well. We are constantly shamed for being a burden if we don't work. But that's burden society asked for. They didn't have to, but they did. Remember when I said society does owe you something? It's because just like your parents, society did ask you to be born. Think about it. Every developed country is complaining about low birth rates. They're so desperate for more future workers to keep their broken system running. They literally begging people to have more kids. That's the definition of asking you to be born. So, since society asked for you, it owes you a universal basic income to cover your basic living expenses. Asking to create a human life and then refusing to pay for it is the height of entitlement and irresponsibility. And I can already hear the boomers and corporate shills crying in the comments. They love to act like they're all about facts over feelings, but they're the ones who can't handle the facts. It's a fact you didn't ask to be born. It's a fact society did ask you to be born. And it's a fact if the world doesn't owe you anything, you don't owe the world a damn thing, including your labor. I think the reason we're all so depressed and miserable is because our lives are built on the lie that we owe society something. You feel bad for not having a job because you've been brainwashed into thinking you owe society a job, but you don't. If you want to work, go for it, but you don't owe it to them. Just like you're not entitled to people buying your lemonade, society isn't entitled to your labor. If they want you to work, they need to create better jobs with better pay and conditions. But it's the height of hypocrisy that they're too lazy to fix the economy they ruined, yet they call you lazy for not wanting to work in it.